What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. And of course, it is brought to you by our good friend over at FanDuel. If you're doing any sort of DFS or sports betting this NFL season, make sure that is where you're getting it done. We are officially entering the NFL playoffs. Well, we aren't, but we'll be watching the teams that did make the NFL playoffs. And that's what we're talking about today, the wild card round, predicting each of those outcomes, and we will also give you who we think is going to go to and inevitably win the Super Bowl. But before we do that, we have to talk about all of the coach firings, Black Monday. And we are sitting here with, I think, 7 head coaching openings at the time of this recording. It could change, of course, by the time that this episode comes out. But the big one, of course, is Harbaugh. We talked about Stefanski. We talked about Raheem Morris, but the Ravens decided to part ways with Harbaugh, and that was the big shocker. And we'll talk about where he could end up and who could end up replacing him. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, on this beautiful Wednesday evening, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing well here in playoff season, although I do want to ask you guys about something that was ducked last episode that has to do with the playoffs. Ohio State, what happened?
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
We did not breathe a word about their embarrassing.
Actually, I did bring it up. I said it in passing.
Yeah.
In
So,
passing, there was
he brought it up to say that we wouldn't
That
talk
wasn't-
about it.
I was saying we're not talking about it, and I don't know why we need to talk about it today. No, we can bring it up. I mean, it's a combination of things with them. The offensive line's not that great. Miami has a great pass rush, and I think Sayan did a better job dealing with pressure before these last couple of games than he has in these last couple of games. More than anything, I think that's really killed him. And I don't know if anybody's hurt their stock as much in my mind as Sayan has just recently, unfortunately. I mean, I had my questions about him in the Texas game when he was pretty limited, but as the season went on, I thought you saw real growth. Ultimately, when it came to it, like against Indiana, under pressure, like the fact that he's not a super physical guy really got to him, and he wasn't getting the ball out quickly, and he wasn't seeing the field well when he was pressured. There were times where there were answers to hit, and he just didn't hit them. So that doesn't help. I mean, he missed a throw downfield as well that I think could have been a touchdown that didn't end up go for it. So I feel like that, as much as anything, really hurt him. I thought the defense played a fine game. Miami's a good team. And of course, they missed another field goal. The kicking problems, I guess, will never end. I know that college kickers are college kickers, but shouldn't Ohio State get somebody? If there's any kickers out there, I feel like it should be easier for a program of that nature.
It is funny how NFL kickers are better than they've ever been.
And Ohio State, like every single time Ohio State has a serious field goal they miss. I mean, maybe I just remember the times they miss more than ever.
Where did these good NFL kickers come from?
I have no idea.
They just spawn in the NFL.
So I'm bummed about it. I mean, ultimately, like I said before, you can call it cope, and it is, but like they beat Michigan, so that was worse than either of these last 2 losses. But definitely feels like they got to get a better play caller in there. Ryan Day is just not it calling the plays. Hartline really hasn't been that great for a lot of the year, and it's a bummer to waste the talent. I mean, that you had defensively. They have 4 first rounders. And there's
maybe the best 2 defensive players in the draft is what they've got. I think Bain is better than Reese. I made my complaints with Reese known a while ago. And him getting top 5 hype has just been a little bit crazy to me because he's an off-the-ball linebacker. He is an off-the-ball linebacker. He's not somebody who is a defensive end rushing the passer.
He's not going to be drafted like that. It's going to be, the idea is that he's Micah. It doesn't matter if Ohio State didn't actually use him like that. If he's an off-the-ball linebacker and like you're not rushing the passer with him, I don't even know if he's a first rounder.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, but I don't think the
idea behind him going that high is that you're going to rush the passer with him more. I feel strongly about that. Right?
I mean, it has to be because, like you said, he's an off-the-ball linebacker at Ohio State with tape that suggests he's more of a second-round draft pick because he's just doesn't really have crazy length or movement ability and coverage. Like he's a really good downhill tackler and stack and shedder. I love him and Downs have phenomenal technique when it comes to being physical downhill. But Reese is just not, the Fred Warner, Zach Bond type carrying guys after
he's not the best off the ball linebacker in the draft from Ohio State.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
And Styles is a good player.
So
and
yeah, he is a edge rusher probably if he's going to be drafted top 10.
But my question is like, it sucks that he didn't get more. I wish he had gotten more work there.
Yeah.
I saw the stat on Twitter, like he had 13 pass rush snaps against Texas, and that was the season high for him, which is wild. But yeah, I mean, like, there's no guarantee that Ohio State's obviously really consistent. They're one of the most consistent programs, but it's tough to have that type of talent. So it's a bummer to not get more out of it, I feel like. And we'll see how the offseason goes for them and whatnot.
I want Ruben Bain to win it all. Shout out Ruben Bain. That guy's legit, I think. I mean, he's a bit really sawed good. Off. Like, his arms really are quite short, and his legs are quite short, too. So he's not even in long leg gang. But he's got bend, he's got get off, he's got moves, he's got really good bend. And having that kind of naturally low, stout pad level can be beneficial in certain ways. And I think he's the one guy that I've watched outside of like Downs, of course, and Love, I think, where it's like, yeah, that's fully the player I kind of expected when I saw the hype originally. Maybe a little bit less with Bain when he was getting like first overall pick. It's like, okay, this isn't Myles Garrett. This isn't Jadeveon Clowney even probably. So maybe even him is a little bit like there's some concerns, but overall, I mean, he beasted on Ohio State.
I'm interested with he beasted. Fair enough. I'm interested to see how the top of this draft plays out. Quarterback's okay. And then what? Wide receiver at 3. I don't know if any of these guys are quite like Jamar Chase level prospects, but I do like them a lot. Are you going to go Downs that high? I mean, he's a demon, but he's a safety. That's really high positional value wise. There's edge rushers. I think that can make sense, but I will see how the Reese stuff plays out. We'll see how the Bain stuff plays out. I mean, you're either going to go, who knows what Bain's arms are going to measure as, but you're going to go with like a kind of, and at least in one way, an outlier pass rusher, either super short arms with Bain or super light with Reese. I mean, Reese is 242. I would make him like
exactly
among the 5 lightest edge rushers in the NFL. So there's nobody who has like this perfectly rounded stereotypical profile, if I'm being honest. Or the guys that do, like Downs does, obviously to the highest degree, but he's a safety. So I wonder how that's going to play out. My guess is that you're going to hear a lot of, we should actually trade down from 3. We should trade down from 4 to 8 so we can draft the bottom of this tier of players rather than the top of it. And then also the PFF mock draft simulator gave me a first and a second to do that. So this team can trade up for Caleb Downs.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think we're going to see tackles go. I think the Cardinals, I mean, once it seems like it'll be quarterback 1 and 2. It seems like it'll be Mendoza and more. And then the Cardinals are sitting there at 3. And I would probably just slot them in with Bain or a right tackle. I think. I don't see why not. The Browns basically have to take a lineman.
Proctor didn't have that good of a year overall. I haven't.
No, Proctor's shouldn't go at 3 or anywhere close to 3. I think Miami's right tackle is like pretty solid.
And Utah's, whose name is slipping me.
There's 2. There's Lomu and Fanu.
Yeah, Fanu I think is the super highly. He's really good.
Yeah, I could see him going 3 to the Cardinals. I could see the Browns taking the Miami guy. I could see someone like Downs or Bain falling to the Chiefs at 9. It's pretty nice that they have a top 10 pick. I could definitely see that, or Tyson or Tate. That's gonna be a pretty sweet deal for them, I think.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather the Browns to go receiver than tackle, but that's just I haven't watched enough of the tackles.
I think the receivers are definitely better, but man, they're gonna be so rough in the trenches next year.
I wonder where McCoy from Tennessee ends up sliding in because he is really good, but he didn't play this year. But with how good he was, I mean, I guess the teams will see with the medical stuff, but if it's just a regular ACL and you feel good about him being back, I mean, I think he was pretty incredible his last year at Tennessee, or his last year that he played. So I'd be willing to take him pretty high, I think.
Yeah, I like the corners, and I like Avion Terrell. I like McCoy a lot. I like Downs. I think it's a pretty good DB class for early first round.
There's Delane.
I haven't watched any of Delane, but
okay,
he seems highly regarded, I guess. He adds on to that solid DB class. I think the Saints going Jeremiah Love makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you were saying.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I don't want that to happen, I suppose.
I think Love, obviously with Genty, not having a very good rookie season, I think it probably kills Love at number 3, even though he might be the best player in the class overall. I do think that there's some Jahmyr Gibbs to him with the home run threat and the contact balance and everything. Like, he's just cracked at football.
He is.
He's a great blocker. So I think there is a spot for him in the top 10 still, even though Genty did. He was the least efficient skill position player in the league last season.
Not
anyway.
Love with Estime in the same backfield, man.
Cinema.
Do we want to talk about head coaches who got fired, including Blaiden
Johnny?
Kirk? I was going to say Blaiden Kirk, your head coach, was.
Yeah, I mean, we talked
fired.
about Stefanski a little, or not even a little bit, to I feel like a large extent on the.
Did we talk about him getting fired, or was it
we
right
talked
before?
about the possibility of him getting fired?
Okay, well then I guess we've kind of covered it in that sense.
I mean,
but
the interesting thing would then be like, who do they replace him with, or where does he land? And all I'll say, and then we can move on, is as long as the Browns don't do some gimmicky bullshit like hire Deion Sanders, I'm okay. Like that.
Oh, Deion will definitely want that job, but I feel like they got to tell him no.
Like that just feels, but it feels like something that very possible. It's like
it feels like a Browns move.
Yeah,
that's how my dad used to talk to me when I was a kid. He's like, "That's a total Browns move, isn't it? Wouldn't it be?" And then they would go and do something like that.
They would. They totally would. That's like the exact bullshit that Haslam wants to do. But like, no, just don't do something like that. Like Flores would make me very happy. I don't think that'll happen.
With Garrett, that would be interesting.
Well, they already have Schwartz, so like, I don't think they're gonna.
But is he gonna? So is he just sticking around? Do you figure? So a coach is gonna come in there and then not get to pick their DC?
That's why.
Or is it gonna be based on who likes
a guy
Schwartz?
like Flores? Is because I feel like if you bring in Flores, that sort of forces out Schwartz. I feel like if they wanted to fire Schwartz, they would have done it with Stefanski.
I mean, Schwartz and the defense are the only reason to take that Browns job.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I guess your argument would be like,
so
we could probably have a great defense without Schwartz. It's probably a little bit more Garrett than Schwartz.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not saying they need to get rid of Schwartz. I'm just wondering.
I know they had some guys that they had already requested to interview. Monken was one of them from Baltimore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate that.
That'd be fine. I just don't feel like they're really going to upgrade from Stefanski. And I know that we've been over this a million times, and I know how you feel about it, Blaiden. But like, I feel like Stefanski has got to be like, let's go. I'm out of Cleveland. I have wiggle room. I'm not going to have to replace my entire offensive line with spend $10 wisely challenge from Twitter, except that it's actually $10 and the player price points are actually $1 million. He's got to be like, instead of coaching Shador and Judy and Jerome Ford, I can coach Bijan and London and
Jerome
whoever.
Ford catching the harshest.
He might literally go from the Browns to the Ravens. Like, he's got.
Yeah,
this rocks.
I know he's supposed to interview with the Giants and I think the Falcons, but yeah, I think Falcons wouldn't be a bad landing spot, but I'm like, dude, he's going to the Ravens and he's going to win a Super Bowl there and I'm going to cry.
I could definitely see the Ravens, or not the Ravens. I could definitely see the Falcons with Cousins and some of the success they've had together in the past. And definitely, I feel like the Falcons have to be looking for an offensive-minded guy. There's absolutely no way that they go from Raheem Morris to Jeff Hafley. That just wouldn't make any sense to me. But as far as Harbaugh goes,
that's the big one.
That's the big one. And I think that it was a fair move to let him go.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's a legendary coach in Baltimore. 180 wins doesn't come easy. He has a Super Bowl victory for sure. Like, that's undeniable. But ultimately, in the Lamar Jackson era, they've underperformed as, like, you know, the staff builder, CEO, whatever you want to call them. Like, yeah, you have to hire good coordinators, and they've had issues coordinating on both sides of the ball or like replacing guys. And it makes you feel like, okay, can we get somebody who brings a schematic advantage? It is that simple. And on top of that, like, the team culture is in the worst place it's ever been. So you ask, like, what exactly is Harbaugh bringing to the table? And it just feels like, well, you know, they've been good for a while post Flacco, but has it been Harbaugh or has it been Lamar? Yeah. You know, they've come out and laid eggs in a lot of playoff games, and maybe some of that's on Lamar, but I feel like some of it's on Harbaugh too. So he's, you know, going to be, he might get hired right away, and that's reasonable, but at a point, the results have to get to you. I will say, I do think this season was a little bit snake bitten for sure. I mean, they had a lot of things break against them. Some brutal losses. Like, I mean, honestly, their first and their last game were brutal losses, the Bills, and this most recent one. But, you know, the results in terms of winning a Super Bowl, which is a standard, haven't been there. And even in games like the Bills, there's times where you're like, put the game in Lamar's hands, and they don't do it.
Or so against the Patriots, like, look, Derrick Henry's had his issues this season. I think it was his weakest season in a while, even though he did come within 30 yards of the rushing title still.
It was crazy. I can't believe he still ended up having a very productive year.
I understand the fumbling. I understand, you know, maybe some of the footwork behind the line of scrimmage isn't quite as crisp as it was in previous years. But, like, man, to go 12 minutes without him on the field, like, he really made that look dumb in the last 2-3 games when he's been incredibly productive versus the Packers and the Steelers and others. Like, that looks so horrible now. And I feel like the Ravens just lead the league in times when I felt like they don't have their best 11 out there. I remember week 1, not this year, but last year, they had the linebacker Harrison out there, and he was like a complete liability getting picked on.
Yep.
And they had Trenton Simpson out there to be the backup, and they didn't put someone more athletic out there. And it's like, why are you just allowing this to happen? Why are you letting your guards be a massive liability to the team? Why are you letting Derrick Henry, your best running back, sit on the bench for 12 minutes of a crucial game? Like, game management, culture, big game performance, like, none of it, staff building, like, all the things that Harbaugh should be really good at. He just hasn't been good at. So what exactly is he doing? And it was ridiculous when, like, they were obviously never going to move on from Harbaugh to promote Mike Macdonald. That's just not how it works coming off a championship game, a 13-win season. Like, obviously at the time, even though there were a bunch of Ravens fans saying that it should work like that, it just doesn't. So I don't necessarily blame them for letting the coordinator walk, as they had many times. Harbaugh has been there through a lot of different coordinators. So yeah, you're going to let your coordinator walk instead of Harbaugh. But seeing the results that Macdonald has had and Harbaugh has not had with, you know, their respective rosters and expectations, like, yeah, it does make you think, like, maybe we want a guy who's a baller ass play caller who can't get hired away. So
right. No, like, a lot of us had, I think all 4 of us were like, yeah, the Ravens are one of the 4 main contenders in the NFL. I don't think any of us had the Seahawks winning the NFC West.
Yeah, no, I think all of us had them getting last in the NFC West, in fact. So, Yeah, I think you want somebody like Brian Flores immediately comes to mind. They've got this huge weakness with their defensive front, and how you can't really build that in well, maybe you can build it in one off season if a certain player becomes
you draft
available.
Really well, you get a good free agent.
Simmons, I have no idea why they would trade. They won't trade Simmons away, but like who knows who might become available.
We didn't
right?
think Hendrickson was going to get traded, right?
Hendrickson hits free agency, something like that. But that is a name that seems very much like, hey, their biggest weakness, pass rush, could become an immediate strength with the playbook that this guy's got. So he's definitely stands out to me. I mentioned Mike McDonald earlier when we talked about potential other coaches for the Ravens. I still think that would be fun. McDonald and with some of those like motions and Lamar, and maybe you could bring Tyreek Hill with him. But the Dolphins haven't moved on from McDonald's. McDaniel, that is. So that is a problem. But they might 1-for-1 swap Harbaugh and McDaniel, because I think there are certainly teams out there who look at all the success that Harbaugh has had and say,
we'd like to be successful.
We'll take AFC championship games if they're giving it away. Which, do you think that's a good idea? Would you be interested in hiring Harbaugh with all the warts that we just described?
I don't know, man. I honestly, personally, I guess like he wouldn't be that low on my list, but over a guy who I think brings like schematic advantage themselves, like, I would probably rather take the risk on somebody unproven who I feel like locks up a side of the ball for me than go with Harbaugh. I don't think Harbaugh is just like going to come in and immediately be like a guaranteed, oh, well, now we're making the playoffs because we have him or whatever. Now, there might be a chance, like, I kind of feel like with some of these proven guys, what they're able to do is they get to pick their spot a little bit more, or they know what spots to pick. So maybe Harbaugh all of a sudden is like, well, maybe I wait a year until a team with a quarterback has a head coach opening. They don't want to go running into a situation where there's no QB to be found and you have to like go get a guy or develop somebody, which is the hardest part of the job almost. And if you can't do that, you only get one shot, like I've said a million times. So like I think about Jim Harbaugh, how many years were there rumors that he was going to leave Michigan, and he didn't do it until obviously like the police were on his case, but also until Herbert was available. And it's like, okay, he can go take that job. If there was no Herbert in Los Angeles, even if we're like, the tackle situation isn't his fault, but like, I think the story around Harbaugh would probably be a lot different. I'm interested to see what happens if Jesse Minter leaves. What happens to the defense? Can he hire another guy? Because I still don't think Roman obviously is maximizing what they can do offensively. So we'll see. I think Harbaugh, if he gets to choose where he goes and everything's open to him, he'll probably land on his feet. But I don't know. I would be more interested in somebody who has crazy upside or something.
Do you think there is someone unproven with crazy upside outside of Minter?
I don't know. Minter definitely comes to mind, and Flores, I think, has upside. But Flores has also had his issues with, in Miami, of course. And I think there's potential for him to get another opportunity or whatever, but I also wouldn't necessarily blame a team from saying, hey, we interviewed and we just don't feel right about it. So I don't know. We'd have to see how the head coaching market shapes up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Hafley is a guy who is going to be intriguing from Green Bay. I think that he's been a head coach before at Boston College, and even last year before they got Parsons, the Packers were a top 10 defense after being bottom tier with Joe Barry. So with those results and the head coaching pedigree that he had at Boston College, I think those two things combined will make him interesting. But I don't know if him or who are other. There's Kubiak obviously in Seattle. I don't know how good I feel about those guys unproven over Harbaugh, just because he has won in the league so much and just nobody has the resume that he has. And I think there is still room for the CEO types. I do. I think that things get stale as, they did with Mike McCarthy, who really did control the offensive side of the ball in Green Bay. Eventually it just became time to move on, even though he won over 60% of his games and had a ring, right? Defensive coaches, eventually it just became time to move on from Bill Belichick and CEO types. I think sometimes it can just be time to move on, but that doesn't mean that. I think what Dan Campbell brings to the table is still very valuable. I think what they lost this year had a lot more to do with Ragnow than Ben Johnson, and they were still like a pretty high-end offense scoring points for the majority of 2025. Obviously, they lost more games. They missed the playoffs, so it's easy to say like, man, they're really hurting without Johnson. But man, the offensive results don't quite tell the same story for them. So I think guys like Campbell, guys like Tomlin, guys like both Harbaughs, guys like Vrabel, obviously Carroll didn't work out, but I think there's still room for a guy like that. I think there's because they tell all the other coaches what to do and how they want it done, and if they have good visions, then
what job would you take if you were Harbaugh and they were all available to you?
They were all available to me except for obviously the Ravens, because I would want to coach Lamar Jackson. I think I would probably take let's see.
You have the Titans, the Falcons.
I think the Falcons job is pretty cool to me. I think they don't have a GM, so you kind of come in with not only the staff that you want, but maybe some of the front office guys that you want as well. I think they have baller-ass players all over the offense and the defense, to be honest with you. I think that they're in a really weak division. Like, I think that the Falcons stand out as the best opportunity.
It's not saying much, honestly. I'm looking at most of these teams that aren't the Ravens, and it's like you see why they fired their coach. Things aren't going well.
Yeah, they have a horrific owner. This
is the thing is like I kind of like the Titans situation, except I have zero faith in the ownership there after the whole Vrabel, AJ Brown debacle. I mean, the Browns also exist there. Plus the Browns are just like, screwed cap.
They've got no offense, dude. I mean,
you need a quarterback. You're not in position to get one. I really could say the same thing about a lot of these teams too, is I don't feel awesome about their solution at quarterback, but even outside of that, it's like, do they have great rosters built? It's like the Falcons have a lot of pieces there, but they don't have a first round pick. And I don't know. I would hate to coach a bad team in the NFL. So
I'll coach a bad team. If the Browns would have me, I would be the head coach.
I'd coach the Browns in a heartbeat. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That would be the
easiest decision of my life to say yes.
It'd be a great week one. I'm on Twitter. They're showing red zone. Theo's on the clipboard. I'm
no idea what I'm looking at. No idea what any of the plays.
Well, you've had all off.
You know the plays. It's your offense, man.
It's my offense. I don't know how to build an offense, but I'd figure it out.
Yeah, but Tommy Rees is still there. You can coordinate with him. He'll help you out. And
Kurt Benkert's Madden playbook in my hands. It would just be me and the Twitter guys. That would be the Twitter group chat is my staff.
Shepherd's pie merchant. That's
any
the
group chat that I'm in. We don't get enough people in that one.
Do we want to start the playoff game?
State of the league is offensive and defensive coordinator.
I did want to throw out Kingsbury. That's the other guy we haven't really talked about that I thought was a little bit shocking because I feel like the players there really liked him.
Yeah, my main thought on that is just like, man, Washington really hit a wall. Like 1 year after being in the NFC Championship game, all of a sudden, like the front office is meddling and like good coordinators are leaving on their own accord and you're picking 7th in the draft. Like, damn, that really did not last long at all, the success that they had. And maybe they can get back to it. Jaden's still a good player and just was injured last year, no doubt. But I really wonder what will become of Kingsbury, who I think kept things afloat. I think he's a solid coaching option. Maybe I think he's a solid offensive play caller the last 2 years.
Yeah.
He wasn't winning a ton of games at Texas Tech or Arizona. So I don't think he's going to be a really high end signing, but maybe for a team like the Browns or a team.
I was going to say he feels like A very mid-tier Browns hire.
Kingsbury and Malik Willis. Man,
Could be worse.
Yeah, maybe sort of see it. I mean, yeah, all the backfield motion that he did, and how he used Debo, I think, was sort of cool before things fell out the rail. All the way the movement of the linemen and the extra bodies in the backfield kind of together. He could give him a mobile quarterback. I think he could cook up some results, at least on the ground. So
yeah, they could have a prominent rushing attack there. So, but yeah, let's talk about some playoff football. But before we get into that, the wild card round is here, and FanDuel is turning on playoff mode. All customers get a profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Each game day during the wild card round, you'll find a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts waiting for you in the app. Pick the matchups you believe in. Look, we're talking about Rams Panthers. That's going to be game of the year, some are calling it. The Panthers already beat them once. Why can't they do it again? Take your shot on an upset or build a parlay that fits the moment. Then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. Disclaimer: must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. We're going in chronological order here. Let's start with the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
LA Rams. Matt, the Panthers have beaten the Rams before. Can they do it again? They've got the weapons to exploit the Rams' biggest weakness.
They've got McMillan.
Got Tet.
They've got a dream.
Tet and a dream.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess my concern here is, like, first off, that Rams game was like the game where everything goes right. And it's like, is that going to happen again? As in, they picked off Stafford multiple times and they won some high leverage fourth downs. So to beat the Rams again, it's like you got to have another performance like that where the ball just kind of bounces your way. On top of that, like, these big upsets that Carolina has pulled off have been off the back of like a great run game that has been very consistent and being able to grind teams down and chew up a lot of clock and take their time and limit the number of possessions. Like you're trying to pull off an upset in college football almost, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
The issue is that Carolina's run game has looked like really weak the last couple of weeks. Bad against Seattle, bad against Tampa Bay. And both those teams have good rushing defenses, but I mean, I think in terms of efficiency, they're not that different from where Los Angeles is, right? Now, they did a better job like getting big and these big sets and running at them, but I have my concerns. Are they that same team that they were even a month ago? They've got to be if they want to win this one. That's number one. If they come out and they can't really run the ball, it's game over immediately. There's no way they're going to hold up. If they can, and they can keep getting McMillan into these one-on-one matchups and they can win the high leverage plays, they've got a chance. But even then, they need big plays on defense from Brown and Horn or Mike Jackson or whoever. And while, Mike Jackson's been a big play guy this year for Carolina, I also think, like, the Rams are going to have a mismatch against the Panthers, against him with, Adams on him or Puka or whoever. So I think the Rams have an advantage. This is the biggest spread game of the week, I think, by like a pretty considerable amount. And it's hard to necessarily disagree with it.
It is, but you say the Panthers are going to need to get going on the ground like they were earlier in the year. The Rams, I feel like in this sort of back stretch of the season, have been getting torched on the ground. Against Atlanta, obviously Bijan went nuclear. The Seahawks, who run a lot, but are notoriously inefficient running, had 6.8 yards per attempt in that game against the Rams. And that was a big reason they were able to get a win there. I don't think it's totally unreasonable that the Panthers could get going in the run game.
And they're getting Robert Hunt back potentially. They're optimistic that their right guard plays, and Robert Hunt would be a big boost for them. I mean, I think he's
probably, he's their best run blocking offensive lineman for sure.
He's huge. He's got so much size and can move. Like, it's just good to be big. And Robert Hunt is really, really big. And man, if they could run the ball last time and they get Hunt back,
he's out. No, this is for Buccaneers.
Yes.
Oh, we have a chance.
Dave Canales says this will be a big week in deciding whether to bring back Panthers offensive guard Robert Hunt. They say they're optimistic. It could be a big boost.
I would agree this is a big week to bring him back.
It's a big week for sure. Dave, that's why you're coach.
That's why you're the coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true about the Rams. I've also agreed, Theo, with the points you've made about the backs being really weak. And, you know, Atlanta had a great game, but like Bijan and some of the shit that he was doing, I don't know if I can look at that and say Chuba Hubbard go crazy. Like it's not quite the same caliber of player right there. Not quite. So I think there's an obvious path to them having a chance in this game, and it is funny to like talk about it as if like it's the most hopeless matchup of the week, when it's like we beat them, man. You already won on the road. Now they got to come to the bank. But it's, I mean, what do you guys think? I don't feel awesome about it. It's just hard to beat the same team twice, especially when they have a great coach. So it's like you're asking McVay to lose to this Panthers team 2 times in the same season.
Yes.
I don't know.
It doesn't sound good, but I mean, going back and watching this game, it's a very ethical win from the Panthers. It's not like Stafford missed half the game. It's not like it was a sleeting rainstorm in Carolina. It's not like
it was
Puka
an ethical
or
win in the
Devontae
sense that like it wasn't like the Seahawks game where we get like some bizarro 2-point conversion and a kickoff return or some BS, and it's like, okay, well, it's like those are some rare plays that aren't always going to break your way. But intercepting Stafford 2 times, you play them 10 times, you're mostly not going to get that. Picking up multiple big 4th downs, they won those downs honestly. It's not like they lucked into that or whatever, but some games, if you play a team multiple times, you get the big breaks in those moments and you pull it off, and sometimes you don't execute there, right? I feel like Carolina, they've done it multiple times this year, so maybe that's just the team that they are, where any given weekend they can go and pull this off. But now we're not talking about any given weekend anymore over the course of a 17-game season. We're talking about this weekend right now, go out and do it. So again, I think McMillan can go win on those big downs. I think Bryce is capable of making those plays when the receivers give him something and, when he's feeling himself. And I think the run game has done it before, but Bryce has looked iffy. I think the Rams are overall the better team, and I'm worried about the run game. And, the defense has its issues. The linebackers are a struggle. There's a lot of points to attack with this Carolina team.
Yeah. The last game, the thing I think about the most is what they did versus the blitz on those 4th downs. Like 3rd and 8, Rams blitz, 35-yard touchdown on a swing pass to Chuba. 3rd and 3, or not 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, there's a 16-yard pass against the blitz. 4th and 3, there's the 33-yard dime to Coker. Like, they just shredded those blitz looks. And maybe the idea this time around is like, well, maybe we shouldn't blitz if you're shooting.
Yeah, I think there's a real chance of that.
Let's just play cover 2 and bracket Tet and not, even worry about these one-on-ones, and let's see what they get if it goes the same way this time around.
Yeah.
Seems like that could work.
That's kind of my feeling. So,
but in that case, maybe Hunt can get the run game going. I do think that I'm worried about the Rams in the sense that they have a really good corner duo schedule coming up. Like Mike Jackson and even without Horn gave the Panthers gave the Rams a lot of problems last time. Like, that was really good coverage. And now Horn is playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll play. So having Horn and Jackson to guard those wide receivers, like it worked well for them last time, and now they're even stronger. And then if they win this game, the Rams will probably have to play like Witherspoon and Woolen, and
Right.
they might have to go on to play, you know, the Eagles with Quinion Mitchell. Like this is really good.
They have guys who could win those matchups.
True.
They have Adams and Puka. If anybody's equipped to deal with a great cornerback,
they are. It's just
duo run. It's them.
If we're projecting them as, you know, what we thought is the most complete team in football to go on a run, it is a tough sledding of like, we have to do this 3-4 games in a row is go up against all these corners. It's like, then what are you're gonna see Pat Surtain maybe in the Super Bowl or Stingley or Gonzo. Yeah, like any of those guys.
Benford, yeah.
It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned it just because it gave him so much trouble last time. Like Mike Jackson just had an absolute masterclass of a game. Like he just physically matched up well with Puka. He read Devontae Adams at the route stem well. Like he just had a really, really great game.
Did Mike Jackson not get got by Adams in the end zone that game one time?
He got by Puka on the overhand catch. He did get got by Adams on a slant.
I think he looked goal line Jackson overall is a good player. I don't want to be too negative about him, but like, you know, you've got Horn there, and definitely if you put an elite receiver on him, it's not like he's just completely locked down, I guess is how I should.
Oh yeah, he's not completely locked down. He just did a good job, and they won. And they won because he got a pick six pretty much. So and the Rams might not have Dotson. They might have Dotson, they might not have Dotson. And if it's a backup on Derek Brown, or even if it's Dotson on Derek Brown, because they had Dotson last time, like he's had as many game-changing plays.
There's a path. The Panthers have enough players who can make plays in these big games. They have a formula on offense that if they get back to doing what they do well, can work. Maybe the Rams can limit the amount of like McMillan and one-on-one matchups that Bryce gets to throw deep against, and that's killer. But there's a formula. But it's like the one way Carolina can win versus the many ways that it feels like the Rams can win. What if Puka is just too good and he goes for $160 and that's GG? Yeah. What if Adams says, you know, I'm still one of the top receivers and sorry, a cornerback 2 on me and the 4-year season doesn't cut it. The Rams run game, they can really, sorry, we're going to run away from Derek Brown, make somebody else beat us, make these linebackers come outside to try to get us, you know. Sure. It's a lot of pressure on them, and they haven't been a great unit this year. We're going to just drop back stuff. Are you going to blitz Stafford, or are you going to try to get us with your 4 pass rushing? Because if Derek Brown's not getting there, there's nobody else who's been consistent this year. There's a lot of issues with Carolina. So it can be done, but you just got to go with the mindset. You got to go into the mindset of like, it can be done and not expect to win the game. Right.
I'll also, if we were doing the stay hot locks here for the playoffs, this would be like the obvious 1-1. I wouldn't pick it though.
I think that's
to me. It feels like a trap game. It feels like a trap lock.
As crazy as it sounds, I'm kind of with you, Blaiden.
You guys are like jinxing the hell out of it. And this is we need like no one believing in us.
Too bad, Bub. Stay on believes in the Panthers.
It dooms them. The reason, if we're talking like truly what happened, week 13 against the Rams, is that I was watching the game and the Panthers were up, and I didn't feel like they were going to win, and I didn't emotionally react to it whatsoever. I was sitting there watching with a Rams fan, being like, "Don't worry, buddy, they're gonna come back. We're all good." And then they just kept keep staying ahead of that game and making big plays, and it took like 5 minutes left in that game before I'm like, "Oh my God, they're gonna win." Or they have a real chance to win, and then I got ready. Now I'm going into this game, and I can't mentally make myself think that same way, and it's preparing myself for a letdown. And that
is why,
these things psychically get beamed into the head of all Panthers players.
You know, it gets
is this
psychically
why the
beamed in the head of
Browns are
Stafford.
never good? Because I always get excited anytime they do anything good.
Yeah, that's exactly it, basically.
Wow, that's crazy.
I get excited about the Packers, and they do good all the time.
Well, they lose in the
your
NFC
team isn't
Championship.
cursed.
Well, yeah. But not always. I saw them win at one time, and then they won the next game, too. I was excited.
Hey.
I wasn't moping.
There's no perfect science.
I guess I was moping before
saying,
the Micah trade. I was like, oh, they'll never do it. So maybe moping is the key. But you can mope. We're just not moping. I think
I'm just saying any belief in the Panthers is jinxing them.
Head to head has to mean something. It has to mean something, Matt. And what happened when these two teams played head to head?
The Panthers won because they're better.
Crushed the Rams.
If they aren't better, how did they win?
If they aren't better, how did they win? I do actually genuinely subscribe to that mindset a little bit in terms of like, I think they can cover the spread.
Yes.
Score prediction?
Panthers win.
This is the only podcast on earth that's going to pick the Panthers to win.
27 to
Yeah, but now you're not going to get put in an edit when the Panthers do win.
I guess that's true.
We're going to get put in an edit when the
prediction?
Rams win the Super Bowl, and then I pick them to be first round exits.
Yeah, I think
that might be worse, honestly.
But seriously, like,
Theo, what was your score prediction?
I don't know. I really do worry about the Rams in this game, and I really don't love the way that they've been playing recently. Like, I feel like they lost to the Falcons so bad, and that has got me a little bit skittish about them heading into the playoffs. Like, yeah, I'm skittish that they're on the road. I'm skittish that Dotson is banged up.
They're at the bank, man. It's not easy.
I'm a little skittish that their defense has, gave up so many points in such a short amount of time, and their special teams and their kicker missing kicks. Like, I think when I think about the podium players and I think about the star power of the Rams, I do think it's them or the Seahawks as the best two teams in the conference. But I also think that the Rams are going to be in trouble having to play in this wild card round of being on the road the whole time. And I'll pick the Rams. I will pick the Rams, but I think it's going to be really close. I actually think that the Panthers have a good chance. But I do think that it'll be. I don't know how many points the Panthers can really, really score again.
They could get into this game and it's like, the run game's not doing anything. It's over immediately. Yeah, it could be like, drive 2 and you understand where this thing is going.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to see less blitzing. We're going to see more too high. And even with Hunt, I'm not sure if the Panthers are going to be just dominant running the ball, or I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get the ball to McMillan. Honestly, that's my bigger issue is they're not going to be able to get the ball to McMillan in the same way. And the check downs aren't working. But if the Panthers win, I'm going to be sick because I'm on the verge of picking them here for a shocking upset. And I'm at the last second, I'll say Puka's going to do some dope shit.
Probably.
And it's going to overcome the dope shit that Derek Brown does.
The Panthers against the Rams all time are 14-10. In the last 10 games, they're 7-3.
That means a lot.
Stafford has never won in Charlotte.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I heard it on Twitter multiple times.
A lot of good signs here. A lot of good reasons to pick the Panthers, and I think you've got to on some level. I'll take Carolina 32-11.
In general, good offense even beats good defense, and the Rams have maybe the best offense in the league, and the Panthers' defense isn't even good. So maybe that could come back to bite the Panthers. But maybe Derek Brown will tip 3 passes, and all 3 of them will be intercepted.
Right. It's like it's got to be something like that. Like Derek Brown tips a pass. That tipped pass has got to be caught.
Yes,
by a Panthers player.
By that is very key. By
it's a key
Panthers
distinction.
player.
They could have beat the Seahawks or made it a game against the Seahawks because Derek Brown dove for a tip and caught it, and then the offensive lineman poked it out. He poked it out. So if anything like that happens, it's not looking promising. Yeah, I think really both of these big Panthers upsets have happened because of Derek Brown tipping things, which could go on again because the backup right guard could be in. But I'll say they fall harmlessly to the ground, and the Panthers wonder, what if we were close? That no one said we should be here. They said we should be reseeded, and we gave them a good run. We gave them a good run. That'll probably be the narrative.
Yeah, I'll take the Rams, and I'll take them to win 15-12.
I like it.
15-12. What did you say, Matt? 32-11.
Yeah.
I'll say it's 23-17. Rams win by 6.
Okay. That's the game of the week. Game of the year, Rams versus Panthers, the rematch of the century. Let's get into the game happening on Prime here. The night game on Saturday, Packers versus Bears. Must be nice having your teams in the playoffs, guys.
We'll see. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Theo, the Packers have a chance against the Chicago Bears. Is Love playing?
Oh, yeah. Love will play.
Okay.
Evan Williams will play, which he didn't last time. Micah Parsons, though, he is questionable with that ACL, so he might not go. Tucker Kraft also questionable with that ACL. He's week to week. Don't want to rush him back. He might miss this one. Tom is back too. Zach Tom, he actually is in and playing, and he's missed the past couple weeks, and that's a big game. Jacobs is in. I think the Packers have more than a real chance to win this game. I think obviously they're hurt, and I think that their chances for the Super Bowl are completely donezo, but their chances to beat the Bears, I think, are about the same as the 49ers' chance to beat the Bears a few weeks ago. Like, that's a really banged up team. That's a team without really difference makers, and the Bears defense is bad enough to where like a good quarterback and a good play caller can be super efficient and win a shootout. Even with Purdy throwing a pick 6 on the first play of the game, it was just touchdown after that. And I really do think that Love is going to be playing like that in this game with Watson and with Reed and with Dobbs and with Jacobs out there and Musgrave. Like, I think they have the weapons to take advantage of a slow defense, both in the front 4 and in the secondary. The problem is it's going to be the same deal for our defense against the Bears. But I do think that it's going to be a shootout, and I think that, that's
what I had down. I'm worried about the run defense with the Packers, of course, and I'm worried about Caleb getting out and making something happen and there not being any Parsons to chase him down. So I think the Packers, this is probably the spread on this is probably only a couple of points.
The Packers are favored.
You're kidding.
By 1.5.
Wow. In Chicago, they are favored.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a funny stat. Speaking of that, I have a funny Vegas stat that I should have brought up first thing, last segment. The Panthers have lower Super Bowl odds now than they did before the season.
How's that possible? It's insane.
Oh.
So I guess like the
50,000 before the season and plus 20,000 now.
I guess the idea is like, well, at the start of the season, you don't know who's good and who's bad. And it's like, okay, well, now we know the Panthers are the Panthers and they're in the playoffs, but knowing what they are outweighs the fact that they've actually gotten here. That's where we want to be, though. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's right where we want to be.
This is a good I think this is a good time to spend your money on FanDuel on a Panthers Super Bowl. Clearly they're undervalued. The Seahawks do not want to run into Bryce Young again.
The Panthers are also much better on special teams, man.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
But anyway, back to the Packers. I think I'm going to pick the Packers to win this. I think I'm going to go with Vegas. And it's not even going to... They can't even call it a hot take if they're favored, I guess.
No, you can't.
I mean, yeah.
You're not bravely standing with your boys. You're meekly going with the hive mind consensus of the Packers.
You're cowering behind the hive mind. Yes.
Yeah. I think Jacobs is a lot better than the running backs the Bears have, to be honest with you. And I think that can matter. I think that his elusiveness kind of saved them in the first game. And I think with Tom back for the second one, like their run blocking with him is going to cause a lot of problems. Obviously, I think Watson's deep threat causes a lot of problems. I think Jordan Love protected is just as dangerous as Caleb Williams is. And even as injured as they are, I feel like the Packers secondary still has some star players who can make things happen maybe a slightly bigger extent than what the Bears have. I mean, it is a pure mid-off here. But when I think about Edgerrin Cooper in a spy role, he's someone that could maybe chase Caleb Williams around in some like odd mirror fronts on third. Like, could he make a couple of big plays? Could Quay? He's an athlete. There's McKinney and there's Williams on the back end. Obviously, they're really good at putting a roof on everything. It's like when I look at the Bears defense, they're really good at generating turnovers. They're good at kind of coming off their assignments and batting a pass up in the air and getting those turnovers. But I almost feel like they're just so slow and so unathletic overall that I feel like they might have problems even worse than what we do. And I don't think they're I don't know, because Loveland and Burden are really good, but I think when they run the ball, they're really just not quite as dangerous.
I just think the Bears have a good rushing attack, though, they ran well last game. I think they're going to run well again. I think I could see Caleb wrongly hanging a few over the middle and making a boneheaded play or two. He's still really young, just as much as I can see him, running towards the sideline as fast as possible, only to throw it downfield for a 30-yard completion or whatnot. I agree that this is going to be, I bet you it'll be a shootout, but I just think it'll be too easy for the Bears to run.
Yeah.
And last game, it was a little bit lower scoring. I don't think the game script's going to go like this or that this time. So I'm going to go with Chicago. But I think Green Bay's a fair
I'm
pick.
also going to pick Chicago. But Theo, I'll give you a little bit of hopium here.
I don't need the hopium.
That's true. You don't need it. But
why are you picking Chicago? I want you to answer for your crimes.
You want me to answer for my crimes? I do think Chicago's going to be... I think the run game is a big one. I've fallen into the pitfall before of being like, oh, I don't like their running backs, therefore I don't like their run game. But their offensive line has been so it's been so hard to get penetration on them that it really doesn't matter that their running backs aren't that crazy. They just have the these chasms to run through. And so they can get down if they can get downhill even a little bit, it just makes things so much easier for them. And then Caleb Williams is just so dangerous rolling. I think Matt's right. It'll probably be a shootout. But here's a stat for you that makes me possibly pick Green Bay, and I'm going to reference this later when we talk about the AFC. There are only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL that have a success rate above 50% on 3rd and 5 or more this year. Do you know who those 2 quarterbacks are?
I'm going to guess.
Success rate north of what percent?
50.
Well, Love, because I know the Packers are the best third down team, and you're bringing them up in this segment.
And yes. Who's the other?
Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
Usually May is at the top of every stat except for one. So,
except for one touchdowns.
I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, but I was just like, man, that is a really good sign because they're probably going to need those explosives on those crucial downs, and Love is the exact guy you want in those moments.
Yeah, I really do believe in Caleb being perhaps one day the most dangerous apex predator on the field at all times. I do think that he's that kind of talent, but the results this season, I think, have fleshed out that he just has not been as consistent as Jordan Love, who's quite a good quarterback in his own right and really has played well against the Bears this season. So LaFleur is the oldest coach in the NFC playoff field. He's been to the playoffs many times before. He's been the 7th seed. He's knocked off the 2 seed. I do think that some of the Packers' experience and the way that Love has played this season gives me confidence that they can win a shootout. But I really don't know. The Bears, Loveland is an absolute animal. You're absolutely right that they're going to run into this offensive line and go nowhere. And yeah, they could, whenever you lose in the trenches that badly and there's that big of a mismatch, like, yeah, I really don't know which way the ball will bounce with this game that should be a touchdown every time either offense touches it.
Yeah. So give me the Bears, and I'll say they win. Ooh, give me 34 to 33.
Okay, I'll take Chicago 100, 200.
100, 200. I'll say Green Bay wins like 42 to like 39.
Okay. Game-winning field goal. I like it. That takes us into the Sunday window. We've got Buffalo and Jacksonville lining up in the 1 p.m. slot. I think this is going to be a really fun game. Allen and Trevor Lawrence going at it. That should be a blast.
I have Jacksonville in this one, and Buffalo is favored, which surprised me a little bit. My concern is that with such a weak run defense and such a good sequencer on the other end, and Cohen, I feel like he's going to be able to get the Jacksonville run game going and then build off of that as well as anybody. And with how Lawrence has been playing recently and the fact that I feel like they have not like amazing, unbeatable weapons, but very balanced weapons and a lot of guys who can get you, it just feels like there's going to be a lot for that defense to worry about. And on the other end, Jacksonville's rushing defense is very good. That's not to say that Buffalo won't be able to run the ball at all, but is Jacksonville going to have to sell out to try to stop that and then open up the play action game for the Bills? That's my concern, because if you can't, then it all comes down to Allen hero ball, which is a lot to put on his plate. Now, what is going for Buffalo is that Allen hero ball is a way to win games in this league for sure. So there's a world where a lot of that is true, and Allen goes out there and makes some great plays, and they get it done anyway. And then maybe Lawrence reverts back and makes a boneheaded mistake, and a couple of sacks can end up costing them. But I don't want to rule out Buffalo or anything. Like, I think it should be a close game, but I like Jacksonville in this one.
Blaiden?
I was going to let you rip, Theo. I like Jacksonville in this one too. Matt, I'm right there with you. I think their receivers, ever since they brought in Jacoby Myers, that receiving room went from being very shaky. Brian Thomas wasn't having the season that you expected him to. Travis Hunter's hurt, to now all of a sudden, I mean, this is as reliable as it gets. I think he was one of the most underrated receivers coming into the league. And pairing him with Trevor Lawrence, it's about time he's had this ultra reliable receiving threat. I think that's the thing he's been missing for most of his career. And I think it's a large part for why he's having the success that he is. So yeah, I really like Jacksonville in this one as well. But, again, Allen hero ball, we've seen it work in the playoffs before. It's not unthinkable that he could just get absolutely nuclear and will the Bills into this one and get a win. So
I think I'm going to go Buffalo. I think we're really going to feel the difference in run games in this one. I think the Bills' run defense has been so bad, but they're also one of the best running teams in the league with Allen and Cook. And the Jaguars, even over the course of their winning streak, they've become a very pass-happy team. They're actually like a bottom 3 rushing attack by EPA since week 10, I think. So ETN and some of these run blockers like Anton Harrison, definitely a better pass protector than a run blocker. Like, we'll see what wins out. Like, is the Bills' run defense worse than the Jaguars' run offense is bad? Like, that could easily be. But I think I'm worried about Jacksonville dropping straight back, opening the offense up, an uber aggressive Trevor Lawrence that we've been seeing versus a Bills team that's in like kind of this 13 personnel shell, just pounding it, having success while Lawrence is like dropping back against one of the better secondaries in the league. I mean, them and the Texans are the only two teams in the league to have negative passing EPA when the quarterback is not pressured. Some of the comebacks they've had and some of the second half performances that this secondary has had have been pretty unbelievable this year. I just think that the Jaguars' mode of play kind of plays into the Bills' hands a little bit in a way that, like, I don't know, the Ravens with Derrick Henry wouldn't, or the Falcons with Bijan Robinson wouldn't.
I don't know. I just think we've seen too many times this year weak rushing defenses let bad rushing offenses get comfortable. That's my thought process going into this. Now, it's totally fair to say, like, it's great against great on the, Buffalo rush game versus Jags rush defense, and then it's bad versus bad. But I just think when Cohen has everything then available to him, it's going to make him a real threat as a play caller. So that's my thought. But the other end is that there's not a strong play caller for Buffalo, is that there is Josh Allen, and he's the guy who actually throws the ball. So I guess part of it comes down to how much do you believe in Lawrence's streak right now? And how much do you believe in, like, the receivers playing better than they were at the start of the year and stuff like that?
I believe in it a good amount because I've always believed in Trevor Lawrence, and I think that he's got a really good command of the offense now in a way he didn't before. I think he's obviously crazy strong, crazy accurate, but they've also played, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Colts twice, the Jets, since Thanksgiving. Now they also blew out the Broncos. Not that strength of schedule
matters for quarterbacks.
Not that strength of schedule matters, and they blew out the Broncos.
Defense,
They blew out the Broncos by 14 points. So I don't think it's all phony, but I just think this Trevor Lawrence streak going into the playoffs is cool, but I believe in Josh Allen's streak of being, like, basically
an MVP level baller for a long time. Right.
A little bit more.
That's totally fair. I do think in terms of, like, if we're talking energy in the universe and jinxes and that angle of the game, it's very bad to have, like, the more and more film guys and Twitter guys and analytics people get on the side of, like, the Jaguars are going on a run the worse I feel about it.
Every Super Bowl bracket you see with the Jags in the Super Bowl.
Every Super Bowl bracket I see with the Jaguars going far is like,
they do have the Bills
it jinxes Lawrence into a 3-interception game a little bit more. But now he can overcome that. I mean, he's the first overall pick. He's a good player.
They don't need to win it all. They just need to win this game.
That's true.
They do. And Buffalo has a lot of cracks in the armor, I feel like, on offense right now in a way that, Allen isn't just rolling in there with a super duper team on offense. Like, I really don't think this offensive line is playing at the level it was last season or at the beginning of this one. And the receiving core really is not very strong. Like,
Brandon Cooks in a dream.
Brandon Cooks in a dream. Dalton Kincaid in a dream. And, like, Devin Lloyd is playing at such a supremely high level in Aluakun and Walker. And if the right tackle situation is as bad as when they played the Texans, like, yeah, they're going to lose. But I'm just putting my faith in the Bills here. I just am putting my faith in Josh Allen and the secondary. I think I've given Trey White too much shit. He's been playing good recently. Benford is obviously a major baller. And I think that they're going to play man like they did in the second half of the Eagles game. And I think it's going to be a bit harder than Trevor Lawrence has had at the past couple weeks to slice and dice a playoff McDermott defense. We'll see, though. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So you're taking Buffalo. Matt and I are taking Jacksonville. That brings us to 49ers versus Eagles. The Eagles have had a very difficult season compared to last year when they won the Super Bowl. And the 49ers have overcome tremendous odds to get to this point. I'm seeing that Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall did not practice today. But at this point, that's nothing that this team isn't used to.
It's still not good.
It's still not good. It's not good when you're going up against, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and these Eagles corners, and they've got a lot of good players still. And I think I am leaning Philly in this one, just because I think the talent is too much to deal with. The talent discrepancy, the 49ers have been able to overcome talent discrepancies before in this season. And obviously, we've seen this Eagles passing game struggle to get going. Their offensive line isn't on the tier that it was last year. And even though Jurgen somehow made the Pro Bowl, that still doesn't make any sense to me. And so the run game has obviously struggled as well. But I think they make enough plays on offense, and their defense is still quite good, that I like them enough to give Brock Purdy some fits. I like them enough to at least get a couple of big plays, at least one to A.J. Brown, at least one to Devonta Smith, and they can probably come out and win this one against the 49ers. This would be, if we were doing locks, this would be my 101 lock.
Ooh. I like that take. That's a hot take, but I like that take. I'm also in on the Eagles, who are getting Lane Johnson back. That should be a huge help, especially in the run game. I mean, without Johnson, they are seriously some of the worst trenches in the league, which concerns me even with Johnson. Like Landon Dickerson, it cannot be overstated just how much of a liability he is out there. Like this center guard, I've been talking about it for years now at this point, is so bad that like someone like Alfred Collins, someone like anybody that the 49ers have can like shut down the run game. I'm concerned. But with Lane, they might just have enough. They might have enough to, Saquon doesn't need much space. I'm concerned about the 49ers getting any kind of pressure on Hurts, who is probably a little bit underrated coming into the playoffs, I think, especially as a playoff performer. Who do they have to cover AJ Brown and Smith? This 49ers defense really is bad, and they really can't stop anybody. And them putting up 3 points against Seattle last week didn't necessarily give me a lot of confidence that Purdy's going to roll into Philadelphia and like absolutely light up what Fangio has been cooking up there in Philly.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 49ers are going to give anybody a tough game, but I'm worried about the talent discrepancy a ton. On the other end, like if Williams and Pearsall aren't like 100% good to go, then you just get really worried about like, do you have the horses? The Philadelphia secondary, their corners are really, really talented. Fangio's, I think, played a little bit more man coverage this year. Yep. So it's like, do you have guys who can beat those dudes? It'll be interesting to see how they choose to handle CMC and Kittle, of course, but it feels like they have a lot of tools at their disposal to try to do that with, Bond, you want to run Campbell out there in certain instances, all sorts of different stuff. So certainly like Philly's offense is a concern at all times, but I think here I'm probably still going to take them.
Yeah, I think, and Purdy too. I think if you're playing man coverage, single high safeties, blitzing, like I think the way to get guys out of that shell is by going deep up the sideline, and you just don't see a lot of that from Purdy if that's going to be their strategy, and I believe it will be. I don't see the overall talent on this 49ers offense to beat the Eagles. Like it's a lot of CMC, it is a lot of Kittle, but those are more underneath weapons, and I think that this is a team that can really, really tackle you. Like Cooper DeJean on Kittle, if that's a specialty matchup that they're kind of able to create somehow. Or even Bond, like they got a bunch of guys who can hypothetically cover Kittle. Like, and if there's no Kittle or if he's kind of taken out of the game, it's like, man, it's really, really hard for me to see the 49ers path to victory outside of like just complete sputterment from Philly.
Well,
not just one half, but both, which we see. We do see that.
It can happen.
Look, it's not hard for me to see the path here. All these games are like 2-point spreads. Like they're dang close. We'll talk about them like we have strong, we're not going to go, well, it's going to be close. We are saying that about
either team could win.
Well, probably within a fumble, so who knows? And it is, but yeah, I'll take Philly.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't give score predict. We didn't give score predictions for Jags Bills. Real quick.
1-2.
1-2. That's impossible.
The refs have been terrible this year, dude.
Please reset the scoreboard. 1-2.
Please reset the scoreboard. It's 1-2.
I'm gonna say.
Go ahead, Theo.
I'm gonna say 28-17 Bills win.
Yeah, I'll say 28-17 Jags win.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, give me the
one
Eagles.
tells only truths, the other tells only lies.
which is which? Yeah, give me the Eagles. They will win. You know, I feel like the Eagles do this thing a lot now where they lull everyone into thinking that they're not that good, that, they're not going to go on a run. They could go on a run if they lock in.
I think their defense is good enough.
The question
I have is about
40-0.
Okay.
What's your question, Matt?
I was gonna. We were talking about them earlier in the season about like, are they going to go on a run? Is it possible? To like, yes, but it takes like the run game really stepping up. Johnson's back. We'll see. I don't feel awesome about it, but the 49ers are a defense you can win against. So maybe they say like, we're finally going to figure some things out.
Yeah. It's their get right game.
I think playoff Hurts is going to shut up some doubters. I do. I think with Lane back, I think there's going to be a little bit more. I think more is going to be on his shoulders with Saquon. And I think most people think that, oh, well, if more is on Hurts' shoulders, they'll just lose because he's.
I mean, now is the time. It would be dope if he just like took off 1 trillion times if he's getting time to sit back there because the 49ers can't rush the pass.
Yeah.
That'd be a great way to get this thing done. And people, you could call it phony if Hurts chooses to do that. I'm down with it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that would be perfectly fine. Yeah. Playoff Hurts could silence some doubters right now. There's been a lot of. I was thinking about ranking all the quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, and I was like, man, I'm gonna put Hurts way too high, and everyone's gonna call me crazy.
Right.
But
I mean, there's a chance that he goes up against the 49ers defense and the Bears defense or the Packers defense. Like, well, if the Packers win, they'll play the Seahawks. But like, man, if he gets the 49ers and Bears, like he's going to look like he's going to look like
against. How would he look against a matchup against the Panthers?
Oh, I don't know. I think Derek Brown would have himself a day
against Cam Jurgens and yeah.
So I feel like the Panthers corner duo are kind of an underrated storyline because it's like, man, I would kill to have J.C. Horn and Mike Jackson in.
Well, that's because you have.
In a playoff field that includes like 2 of the best receiver duos we've ever seen with Philly and the Rams. Like that, it feels kind of like a necessity to have 2 guys who can cover both of them. And the Panthers do have it. And it is like, obviously at the same time, they have the receivers to beat the Panthers corners, but like a lot of these teams in the playoffs, they do not. They do not have.
I feel like the Eagles kind of have the horses there as well.
Yeah, I think that they've been playing better.
And Jackson hasn't been like the worst of all time, as bad. But
mostly Quinion and DeJean in the slot.
Yeah, it's mostly Quinion and DeJean. And when you're facing the Rams, they're gonna put one of those guys in the slot. You know, so DeJean's gonna get his matchups, and I think he's
they're gonna be really in 13 personnel, and you only need 1 corner. You only need Mitchell out there. Yeah,
yeah, but I think the Eagles can go on. I think the Eagles absolutely can go on a run.
You get them in your championship game? Like maybe not. Do you have them in the Super Bowl, Blaiden?
Well, we haven't gotten that far.
We haven't gotten that far. Okay.
We haven't gotten that far yet. So are we all taking the Eagles though?
Yeah, we're all taking the Eagles.
Okay. Swept. Patriots, Chargers in the night game.
Herbert, please play good. Herbert, please.
He's going up against Drake May, big dog. It's over.
I like the Patriots here. I think they are the real hottest team in the AFC right now, although their schedule has also been weak.
Sure.
Since October, though, and that goes back a long ways, they are top 5 since 2015 in total passing EPA, total success rate, and total explosive play rate through the air. Like, of the however many teams it is, the 320 offenses that there's been since 2015.
I think the Chargers are pretty good on the season on not giving up deep passes, if I'm not mistaken. But I do think about that Texans game where it's like they lost pretty poorly over the top a couple of times. And if anybody is going to be able to beat them, it's May. I mean, he's, just super accurate and really good at seeing the field, good against zones. So Minter's great, but I have faith in May to go out there. And also, like, for as much as their rushing game, I think has taken a while to come along. I think in the last 6 weeks, it's top 10. It's gotten a lot better, and you've seen Henderson sort of break out as a guy who can give you big plays. The Chargers have a chance. Their defense is still really good, and you have Herbert, and he can go hero ball mode, but the offensive line is a disaster, and you need your receivers to catch the ball if they're not going to win immediately, if anything. Herbert probably did enough to put that Chargers offense in position to win against the Texans, a much better defense than the Patriots, but it just came down straight up to drops that lost in that game. Allen on the third down, Gadsden a couple of times on the big ones. We talked about it before. So it's one thing if you're not, winning straight up against Gonzo. It's another thing if scramble, drill, or when Herbert's pressured, you can't even be reliable to haul it in. So I don't think the Chargers are massive underdogs or anything, but I also like the Patriots in this one.
Yeah, the Patriots supporting cast, I think, is pretty underrated. They have no Pro Bowlers, and May is, I saw some stat in the MVP yapping on Twitter that May is the only 2 seed ever with no Pro Bowl teammates on offense or something. But Mike Onwenu is clearly a Pro Bowl right guard. That guy is a brick wall. That guy is amazing.
He's a rock star.
He's a rock star. They have one of the lowest drop rates in the league overall as a team. Booty's a good receiver. Diggs is a good receiver. It seems like
I really believe that's partially placement.
100% it is. But Herbert places the ball well, and his shit does not get caught.
That's because his receivers are dog shit.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think Diggs having the season that he's having and Kayshon Boutte having the season that he's having, May does deserve a lot of credit, but they don't drop it like the Chargers do. Which
that's because
I think their receivers. I think their receivers are fine, and I think their offensive line as a whole has gotten up to fine, and I think their run game. And their run game at this point, I think, is solid as well. But I think over the whole of the season, no, this has not been a strong supporting cast. It's taken, at the minimum, it's taken a long time to come along. I think a lot of these receivers feast off of May being able to place it incredibly accurately down the field. But I have the Patriots winning.
May is the bus driver, and May is just another reason why I'm picking them. Is even if there's not a lot of separation, even if there's Mac is pushing the pocket on Will Campbell, which he will do. May is a magician in the pocket, stepping up, then threw in a different direction, stiff arming the defensive tackle on his way out, and then making a throw. Those really high end quarterback plays, he will make them the same way that Justin Herbert can this year. And like I said, this is since October, from October 1st, from week 5 on. Of all the teams from week 5 on since 2015, this is a top 5 passing attack, since that kind of slow start against the Raiders and whatnot. I think that they're super hot. I think that all the schedule discussion has kind of taken away from how good this offense actually is. And maybe it's all May. I think it's May and some other people definitely helping. I think that they are going to be able to move the ball in the Chargers defense. It's a good defense. I really love their second level with Henley and Derwin James, stuff in the run, Tier Tart and Hand and all them. Campbell, my guy. Caldwell, that is. He's not my guy. I just forgot his name. Mac, Tuli Pelotu. it's a good front seven, but I think the Patriots are going to be able to keep May protected from all the stunts and twists and blitzes. They've been good at that kind of thing all year. And I do worry a little bit on the back end. I'm holding up with some of these safeties and corners that they've got versus May and these receivers. I worry also about their linebackers versus Herbert. And do they have anybody in their front seven that can hit Herbert and actually tackle him? I saw Quinn Ewers with a lot of time hit some intermediate digs and throws like that. So Herbert, I think, is going to be able to rip off large chunks. I could see this being a shootout too. I don't trust the Patriots defense like I trust some of May's teammates on the offensive side of the ball. I think if there's a point of failure here, it's the defense and some of the athletes that they've got. So I could see this one being a shootout, but I agree. But PFF ranked all the supporting casts for quarterbacks, and the Chargers were number 32, right? Like when it came to rushing grade and blocking grade and receiving grade, everything outside of passing game. And I do think that is going to come back and bite the Chargers. I think that's probably possible.
I think that's reasonable.
Blaiden, are you with me? Are you with us? Or are you picking Herbert to get it done for the first time?
Give me the MVP of the league. Give me Drake May.
Enough said.
And that brings us to Texans Steelers. This is a 3-point spread. I thought it would be more.
In favor of
Houston.
So you think?
I think Houston will win. I think the Steelers can give them problems, right? Their defensive line has been better than it was at the start of the year. Obviously with Watt and Hayward, they're always going to be difficult to go up against. And, this Texans offensive line, while it hasn't been, as bad as it was before, it's still not a great unit. There's a world where Stroud is under some serious pressure. This still isn't a great rushing offense. I can see the Texans offense struggling. I just don't know what answers Rodgers and company is going to have for this defense. They want to get the ball out so quick. I mean, I already envision it's going to be very similar to the way they played Cleveland, where we're going to get the ball out quick. I think they are supposed to have DK for this one. His suspension is so okay. I thought I had that right, but I just wanted to make sure they have DK for this one. So they're going to have more success than throwing to like Calvin Austin and company. But now you have to deal with Stingley and you have to deal with Pete.
Yeah, it's not going to be the trolling corners like it was against Baltimore. Right. They're going to check the ball down a lot, and it's up to Houston to punish that. If they do so, then I think Houston wins the game. Because even with DK back, like I'm taking this cornerback room over Pittsburgh's wide receivers pretty easily. There is valid concern. Could this turn into a total slog where the Texans' offensive line falls apart and Stroud isn't getting the ball out quick and he starts to go into drift mode and then makes mistakes? Yes, that's very much the path for Pittsburgh to win this game. But I still like what Houston's defense has against Pittsburgh's offense a little bit more. I don't think there's a Nico Collins on Pittsburgh, and I think Rodgers
or CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud. Like CJ Stroud is top 10 in EPA under pressure this year. He's 7th, and Rodgers is bottom 3. Like this should be a pretty good pass rush for both teams. This is, I think, a good Steelers offensive line, but a better Texans pass rush versus a good Steelers pass rush and a really bad Texans offensive line. But like CJ Stroud will hang in there. CJ Stroud will reset and fire that dig over the middle. Like CJ Stroud will break a tackle in the backfield in a way that Rodgers can't. Like that to me is more valuable. And we'll see what wins out. Like CJ Stroud is also more likely to throw a ball directly to the safety than Rodgers is 100%, or make a very
Ramsey isn't going to come down with those.
Yeah. They don't get Stingley ball skills. Yeah, this Houston defense is at a very different level up front and in the secondary. I mean, their secondary is probably better than their pass rush is, which is kind of a scary thought because the Will Anderson bull rush is like automatic, basically. I will say Pittsburgh's offensive line really does impress me. Like Troy Fautanu and Cook as the replacement left tackle with Frazier and Suomalo and McCormick. Like that's an athletic group. That's a group that can recover when they're in like an uncomfortable situation. That's a group that can reach people in the run game. I'll be interested to see if they can quiet down Anderson and Danielle Hunter a little bit. I don't think that they're going to have their best games against those tackles because they are good. But I think at the end of the day, just Will Anderson being like, I'm bull rushing you is gonna work a couple good times. And when he does, Rodgers is probably going to check it down and Jalen Warren is a really elusive guy. Kenny Gainwell is a really elusive guy, but checkdowns against this defense is like the number one thing that you don't want to do, and it's also the number one thing that this offense flows through is checkdowns. Kenny Gainwell is the MVP of the Steelers, according to their own voting.
He's had a pretty good year.
He's a great player, but like he's going to be the MVP of the team that beats the. I don't know.
Yeah.
The best three teams in the league against backfield targets are the Bills, the Vikings, and the Texans are number 3 in EPA per play to backfield targets. And the Texans are also number 1 by a good bit in time to throw to backfield targets. So like, even when they're not playing Rodgers, it's a Pittsburgh Steelers-esque game plan against them of like, damn, I got to get it to the check down. So maybe the Steelers are at an advantage because they want to play that way and other teams probably don't. Maybe the Steelers are like, this is awesome. Like, this plays right into our hands. But I'm guessing no, the Steelers defense hasn't quite been elite this year, but it's also been better by DVOA than the Texans offense has. So this definitely isn't the Steelers matchup of years past when they're like playing the Ravens and get, hit with a big club over their head a million times. Since 2020, they allowed 37 points a game in the playoffs, guys, the Steelers.
How many
points a game?
How many games is that?
That's like a good amount of games too. That's like
3 or 4
games. That's like 4. I think it's 4.
Brutal.
37 points a game.
Bad.
And then I was like, well, is this defense too good to allow 37? And then I looked it up and I'm like, well, they've kind of gotten up there a lot this season. Got to give up some really highly scored.
Is this the offense that's going to drop 37 would be my question as much as anything. But I don't know. I mean, the good Steelers defense has been in the playoffs before and gotten run up. Not that they're like past failures from 2020 really make me feel that much differently about this game. I just think Houston's got a great defense. They're gettable on offense, but I just think they've got an even better defense. And I think the Steelers' offense is going to be limited in a lot more, in a way that's a little bit harder to work around, I guess is how I'll put it.
Yeah.
So
I think the Steelers is going to have a chance. I think that's going to be a 1-score game throughout. Maybe Houston on top in kind of a Super Bowl 50 way where it's like, it's a 1-score game throughout, even though we're getting our shit rocked. There's still a chance. I'm kind of feeling that game between the two teams. Like, yeah, Cam Hayward and TJ Watt are not letting Houston run the ball. Okay. But yeah, at the end of the day, Stroud and Nico Collins, I think, can make more plays than Rodgers and Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yep. So then who do you guys have in the Super Bowl and who do you have winning it?
I'll tell you my teams in the conference finals and then in the Super Bowl. I have Bills Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
Okay.
I have Seahawks Eagles in the NFC Championship game. I have a Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl with the Seahawks winning. Their defense has impressed me more than any other individual unit this year. And I think their offense with JSN and K9 and even Darnold, I think, like, I'm like, yeah, he's all right enough, I guess, to get him there where it's like, I think that they're going to have enough juice on both sides of the ball and they have a bye and they have a great home field advantage. I just feel like they're the safest pick. And then the Patriots, I don't know who's coming out of the AFC, but the way I have it, the Bills are playing the Broncos in round 2. I'm not sure the Broncos are different enough to avoid like a repeat of last year. And then, like I said, with the Patriots, like I think they're just more well-rounded and more solid than people think on offense. And I think that they're going to continue to have results even against a defense like the Chargers or the Texans. I really think maybe he's a schedule merchant. Maybe that's all it is. But I think it's a little bit more than that. And I think people are kind of overlooking a team that could really be the highest scoring team in the playoffs overall.
This is a tough one.
It's very tough. I could get all these first round matchups like wrong. There's such coin flips.
Yeah, I think we were talking for months now about how this is going to be a time where it's toughest to pick the Super Bowl, and the playoffs are the most unpredictable, and it feels like the most teams can really go on a run. I mean, truly, it feels like 10 of these teams could actually come away winning it all. There's only a handful where it's like,
if the Panthers and Steelers did it, I'd be like, really?
It's like if the Panthers, the Packers, the Steelers, and I'd even throw the 49ers in there, where it'd be like, no,
I might throw the Bears in there with their defense too. I'd be like, really? The Bears went all the way to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
The NFC is definitely a good bit weaker, but like the AFC, I mean, would you say the Chargers too with their offensive line? I'd be like, woof.
Chargers and Steelers in the AFC.
Herbert plus the defense plus Dicker, I feel like isn't the worst formula in the world. Dicker, I mean, that would be, no one would laugh at that if he didn't just like fucking suck.
I would laugh at that
Texans game. Like, a guy
I would be giggling
game-winning kicks. But apparently, I don't know if that's true anymore.
That's
That's the other thing about the Steelers. If it's a close game, Boswell has been like out to lunch for several weeks now.
Boswell, more like Badwell.
We have a serial kicker. We have a serial killer as our kicker. Yeah, clown one.
As in, he's literally just eating cereal on the sidelines. Yep.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Rams. I really think like the Seahawks defense is amazing, but I just don't trust Darnold the way that I want to. There's been flashes of him being better. It's possible they can win low scoring games, of course, because their defense is so good. And the argument for him is there's a lot of great defenses here. They've got the great one. And it's like, well, the offense can sometimes get it together.
I trust him more than like Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. Like JSN and him alone makes, I think, this a more dangerous offense than what the Broncos have got as the 1 seed in a similar way.
But I think I think there's a real chance they match up with the Rams in the divisional, and it's like, man,
that one kills
such
me.
A brutal pull. They're a real. I just don't think they're a good matchup against the Rams. It's just too much easy pressure there, and Darnold played a bad game. I mean, they won the last time they played, but it took like some serious shenanigans, So it's not that the special teams for the Rams doesn't matter. It's like that is like a real issue coming home to roost. But like being like, well, okay, they're just gonna get another kick for a touchdown. It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that one really pains me, is who will win the Seahawks and Rams game. I am convinced that those are the best two teams in the NFC. I'm very convinced of that, just because the Eagles line has been so bad. Maybe with Johnson it changes. I do think the Eagles are definitely my third place. But yeah, I feel like the Seahawks getting to skip that first game matters to me for this pick. And at the same time as there are some serious shenanigans to make the Seahawks win, I think about like just how bad Darnold has been. And they won one of those games, and they came down to a last second kick on the last one, albeit like a 60-yard last second kick. It's like, what if Darnold plays okay? Could it be a Seahawks blowout if he doesn't turn the ball over 3 times? Like, is it possible that happens? But that's just haven't been what we've seen from him against the Rams. But I don't know. The Seahawks won in Seattle this regular season. The Rams,
and we've and it's like I think
Seattle.
About. It's like
I'm getting out of the first round.
Yeah, we're not sure they're getting out of the first round,
but we've got a hunch.
I just think about last year, even, it's like the Vikings had this defense and they won 14 games and they had the superstar receiver, and then Darnold laid an egg and it was all over.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's plenty of guys who are capable of that. And again, like, I think Darnold showed flashes, but I think the Rams are a more complete team. And I don't actually think the Panthers will win that game 32-12 for the record.
You think the Rams are going to win 32?
I think the Rams will win by a more realistic score.
Yeah. I mean, the Rams end the season with the second ranked offense by EPA per play, and the Seahawks end as the 14th. That worries. It does worry me. But this
in the AFC, I don't have the slightest goddamn clue who to pick.
Just you can't pick the Jaguars.
No, I'm not picking. I can't pick the Jaguars.
You can pick whoever you
That's
want.
dooming them. That'd be like, no, it'd be dooming them. They have a chance, but it would be dooming them. And I guess I'm kind of rooting for the Jaguars in the AFC. Why not?
Me too. I would maybe if they went on a run. I would more than any other team. I want the Jaguars to go on a run. I just don't know.
I don't know. I don't dislike many of the teams in the AFC because I would like to see Allen make the Super Bowl after all these people like, well, no, he's got it because Mahomes isn't in there or whatever. And it's like, I just don't.
All right.
I don't know if it works like that 1-to-1. Obviously, I like May. I like Vrabel. If Herbert went on a run, that would be hilarious if he chose to do so now. The Broncos, I guess I don't really have anything crazy against them outside of them beating the Panthers in the Super Bowl. And it would probably be like the Bo Nix conversations, regardless of how he played. If they just made the Super Bowl, would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think the Broncos have a big advantage? I mean, I think the bye this year is an insane advantage.
I think the bye is a big advantage for the Broncos, but the way my bracket works, they play the Bills round 2, and they got beat so bad by the Bills last time in the playoffs, and I get that was in Buffalo, and I get that was probably not a 6-seeded Bills team and whatnot, but I just don't know if enough has swung the Broncos' way for that to turn from a 31-7 game to a Broncos win. And that's just the way I filled out my bracket. I had the Bills advancing there. The Broncos are a really good defense, but man, I think about that game they just played versus Jacksonville when they got beat by 14 points. And I think about Bo Nix and the intermediate throws that he doesn't make. And I think about how they just had, 3 points on offense basically against the Chargers backups. I just don't think the Broncos are going. I don't think they're one of the best team in the AFC. I don't think they're actually the best team in the AFC. I think they have a huge advantage as being the 1 seed. I think they have a great defense. I think, obviously the home field advantage, but I had them losing to the Bills.
That you did.
But that all depends on the Bills beating the Jaguars, which I don't know if they'll do. But
yeah,
Broncos Jaguars, that was a 14-point game.
What do you think, Blaiden?
What do you think? Who do you think is making out? You got to make it say somebody.
I'll say the Texans.
Texans? Okay. Yeah. I rock
their defense is
I like
crazy.
that a lot. I like that.
I think Will Anderson's fire.
Texans, Rams.
Texans, Rams. I don't have Texans, Rams.
Do you have Patriots, Seahawks?
No, I do have the Patriots.
Okay. Who do you have out of the NFC?
I am going to take the Eagles.
Let's go, dude. I love that.
And you know what? It's kind of the same thing with your, like, the way the matchups work. So Eagles play San Francisco, and it's like absolute nobody on defense, right? Then they go on and they play Chicago. Come on.
Not necessarily, though. They don't necessarily.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And the way my bracket is set up, they would go San Francisco, Chicago, and then the Seahawks. Like, yes, they get a bye, but they have to play the Rams again, and it's like they have to come out of that game and then play Philly. I'm like, I don't know. That it just feels. It feels like Philly has the matchups right, and even against Seattle, I think they have the guys, and they've got Fangio to be like, if anyone can bracket and lock down JSN and force Darnold into like a ridiculously dumb pick six, it's Fangio, I feel like, to get that right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my philosophy, and I don't know who to pick in Patriots versus Eagles. That one is like
I'm picking the Rams to win it all for the record over the Texans.
Yeah.
I'm banking a lot on a Jalen Hurts playoff masterclass because Theo, I'm glad you brought up earlier that he's a little bit underrated. I do think there's been a lot that's not his fault. Like he's placed some passes that have been dropped this year. Like I was looking at AJ Brown's stats earlier, comparing him to like 2023 and 2024. Last year in the first 9 games of the season, AJ Brown was 3.8 yards per route run on 100% on target catch rate. In 2023, no, it's like completely insane. In 2023, he was at 92.8% catch rate on 3.4 yards per route run. Mind you, again, weeks 1 through 9. In 2025, he's all the way down at 84.4% on target catch rate with a 1.8 yards per route run. Since week 10, however, in 2024, he was 95.3 on target catch rate, 3 yards per route run. So obviously still very productive. They went on to win the Super Bowl. 2023, he dropped massively to 82.6% on target catch rate at 2 yards per route run. And in 2025, he has jumped massively to 91.5 on target catch rate at 2.6 yards per route run. The connection is starting to pick up a little bit. The passing offense has started to come along. It's still not perfect, but I can see them going into the playoffs with a little bit more juice than people think they have on offense. And go again, against San Francisco, against Chicago, opportunities for them to really lock in before they play either Seattle or the Rams. That game to me is like, that's going to be an absolute nail biter. I think Seattle's going to come out of it, but that's just such a tough game for me to pick. But either way, I think I would take the Eagles. I think they're just going to be I think they're going to have the hot hand, and I think they have the matchups in both of those games to win.
Yeah, I think their win against the Bills was super legit.
Yeah.
At the end of the season. I'll be really interested to see if the Rams are just juggernauts or not. Like shenanigans when they lose to the Eagles, right? All the blocked field goals. Shenanigans when they lose to the Seahawks, right? The bounce off the helmet. Is there going to be more shenanigans, or are the shenanigans going to settle down?
Reverse do.
3 Stay Hot hosts, 3 different Super Bowl champions, all 3 from the NFC: Seahawks, Rams, Eagles. Put your money on the AFC. Jaguars.
I mean, again,
after all,
I like picking Seattle because they definitely won't be eliminated in the first round. Like I'm sure the Eagles and Rams now will be. But if the Rams get eliminated first round, I'm taking that all day.
Yeah, you have to. And then the Panthers are winning the Super Bowl. So, yeah, those are our Super Bowl predictions. Those are our wild card round predictions. We'll be back to talk about the wild card round after I guess we won't. We'll be around to talk about every game except for Texans Steelers. But until then, thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, we will catch you on the flippity flop.
Cool.